Hey everyone, it's Steve from socialtransformation.us here. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit. Social anxiety at its most basic and fundamental level is just being afraid of being judged by people, being afraid that people aren't going to like you, or um, worrying about what people think about you and what they're saying about you. And that's, pretty fundamental aspect of what social anxiety is. And it definitely does suck. And that's a challenge in itself, in all areas of your life. And it's a very important obstacle to overcome. Now, for me, once my social anxiety got really, really bad, it reached a point where I actually started to legitimately hate people and hate the world around me. And I started to get a very cynical attitude and a very critical and negative attitude toward humanity as a whole. And I think that when your social anxiety reaches that level, where you really start genuinely hating people and being cynical, that can be a really, really tough cycle to come out of. Because it's more than just fearing negative judgment. It becomes being a negative judger and constantly, judging people and not liking people and even just hating people. And when you have that perspective about society and people, it becomes really difficult to break out of that cycle and to become a more sociable and likable person again. And I remember myself going into that phase where I became cynical and even nihilistic. And it was bad because I was very, very judgmental toward people. And I'm a strong believer that if you're very judgmental toward people, that also means you're going to be very judgmental toward yourself as well, because you have to sort of hold yourself to the standards that you hold other people at as well. So if you're very negative toward others, like let's just say, for example, someone makes a small mistake and they mispronounce a word while you're talking to them, and you think to yourself, oh man, this person's really stupid and they don't know what they're talking about, and you start, judging them because they just mispronounced a word. But then what happens when you mispronounce a word, or what happens when you make a mistake? Now all of a sudden you have to hold yourself to that standard. So by not being forgiving toward others for their mistakes, for their imperfections, you end up being less forgiving to yourself as well. So I think a big obstacle for overcoming this type of cynical social anxiety is becoming less judgmental, more forgiving toward both yourself and other people. And, recognizing that people make mistakes, recognizing that people sometimes do stupid things, recognizing that sometimes people even do bad and sort of mean things, but you can't just project this whole negative framework onto everyone. There's probably times in your life where you were arguing with someone and you said some insult toward them, or you said something mean toward them, and maybe you were just caught up in the heat of the moment, and maybe you weren't really thinking fully or clearly. So you wouldn't say that you're a bad person just because you said that insult that one time. So it's very important to be forgiving, for sure. And one of the main things actually that's helped me overcome that cynical attitude toward people, and one of the exercises that I actually recommend in my social transformation course, is the loving kindness meditation, which is a meditation based out of Buddhism. And it's just about trying to cultivate better intentions toward people, and being less judgmental toward people, and wishing that people find happiness and success in their lives, and not wishing that people fail and do terrible and have bad lives, right? It's so easy to hold grudges against people who've hurt you. And it's so easy to want to see revenge and to want to see people fail. And that's just not a healthy attitude. Even if someone, you no longer have a relationship with them, or they have hurt you in the past, you have to be able to move past that and still wish them the best of luck in their lives. And hopefully they find themselves, hopefully they become a nicer person, a kinder person. And by creating those good intentions toward them, you become less judgmental. And that's going to have an effect on your social anxiety as well. It's going to make you less cynical. It's going to make you less hateful. So the loving kindness meditation is so good for that. When you find yourself in that cynical attitude, that I hate all of humanity attitude, practicing that meditation has just done wonders for me. And it's really helped me overcome that hateful attitude. And it's really had a major impact on my social anxiety in general. So I just wanted to share that with you guys today. That loving kindness meditation, it's a part of my social transformation course, but you can probably also find versions of it online that can be just as helpful. I like my version, but there's other versions out there. It's not hard. Just do a Google search for loving kindness meditation. It's also sometimes called a metta meditation, METTA meditation. And that is, for me, one of the most important tools for overcoming that cynical, I hate the world attitude. It's so important. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because I know how much of a negative cycle social anxiety can be, especially when you start reaching that cynical level of it. And sometimes I see that on my Twitter sometimes. Some of you are a little cynical, and a little too cynical for me, and a little too critical and too skeptical and too negative. And I totally understand those feelings because I used to be like that too, and where I just hated everything. I totally get those feelings. But I also realize just how painful it is to be in that cynical mindset and how self-fulfilling it can become. So cynicism, nihilism, those are negative phases that hopefully people can learn to move past and move beyond. I understand the world's not perfect. I understand that people aren't perfect, and I understand that people make mistakes and people can be shitty, okay? People can be shitty. I totally get it. But you have to be very careful about projecting this whole negative lens on everyone. Like, there's plenty of good things about people in the world. There's plenty of good people in the world. And I hope that you're able to see that. So I just wanted to share that with you guys today. I'm just chilling on this Sunday. I'm going to watch some football. I'm going to relax a little bit. Thank you for listening to me. And check out the social transformation course. It's going to be available for another 24 hours. Thanks for listening to me. Have a good one, guys. Later.